Goku vs. Majin Vegeta is heralded as one of the best fights in all of Dragon Ball Z and a fan favorite for many years. But it's not just the fight that people love. The entire saga of Majin Vegeta is one that Vegeta fans always point to as one of their favorites, if not their favorite. So you're probably wondering, Majin Vegeta explained, is there something to explain with Majin Vegeta? Well, there is, because I wouldn't make the video otherwise. I want to take a deeper look into Vegeta's mindset during this time, why he became Majin Vegeta, the build-up to it, and why Toriyama's writing during this entire arc is even better than you remembered, and maybe better overall when you look deeper. Let's get to that next. If you like variety in your anime, you gotta at least try Ver for 30 days, vrv.co/geekdom. Try it out for free, and you can watch shows like Rising of the Shield Hero, Demon Slayer, Black Clover, and Attack on Titan, plus classic long-running shonen like Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball Super, and so many others. There's so much anime on Verve that it's completely overrun with content. Try it out, vrv.co/geekdom. The link is in the description.
Hooray! And, here's Vegeta.
The idea of Vegeta being an antagonist again was revisited after Majin Vegeta in Dragon Ball GT with Baby Vegeta, and of course Copy Vegeta from Dragon Ball Super, but none of those really have the impact on the character and on the entire story of Dragon Ball than Majin Vegeta. And the entire reasoning, the entire in-depth look at why Vegeta did what he did was rooted in the character of Vegeta's relationship to Goku and the end of the Cell Saga. So you really have to go back to the end of the Cell Saga to pick up on the clues that Toriyama was leaving about Vegeta's motivation later on. Naturally, of course, Toriyama being a Discovery writer, he probably didn't really have the idea to turn Vegeta once again into Majin Vegeta when we got to that portion of the saga, but you could tell that Toriyama saw something that could be done with the character of Vegeta in relation to Goku, and he executed it in a way that I felt was really well done in my opinion. Open up your manga to chapter 417 or tune into Dragon Ball Z episode 192. With Goku being dead after sacrificing himself to save the world from the explosion of Cell, and with Gohan having become the undoubtedly strongest fighter in the world, Vegeta at the time felt like his motivation to become a fighter had been taken away from him. With both Cell and Goku being dead, Vegeta had no reason to keep fighting. If you remember, prior to this, Vegeta's obsession with defeating Goku and later Cell is what ultimately made him who he was in the entire Cell Saga. He allowed Cell to become perfect, but he always had Goku in the back of his head. He always wanted to surpass Goku. So with Goku dead, he saw no reason to fight anymore. However, that did not mean that he saw no reason to train. And thus, during those 7 years after the Cell games, but before the Majin Buu saga would begin, Vegeta did train and train hard to eventually equal out and maybe even surpass Gohan at some point during those 7 years. Of course, Goku was no slouch, also training in the other world, tapping into not only Super Saiyan 2, but Super Saiyan 3 at some point during those 7 years. But at the time, there was no way the character of Vegeta could have known that Goku would ever come back. So he still trained, but he would also settle in with Bulma and become a family man, raising the very young Trunks during that time. When Goku died, he told everybody not to wish him back because he felt that he was a magnet for trouble and that he was the reason as to why the Earth had been put in so much danger multiple times. And there really was something to that with the causality of the way Toriyama wrote the story. And Goku should have listened to his own advice, because when Goku came back to Earth during the tournament in the early part of the Buu saga, Vegeta saw Goku, and even though he didn't immediately salivate to fight him again, once they became matched up in the tournament to face each other, Vegeta saw this as an opportunity to maybe get a little bit of revenge on Goku. Not necessarily want to kill him or anything like that, but to test his power that he gained throughout the past 7 years and his sense of discovery. He wanted to know how strong Goku had become, just like how he wanted to know how strong Perfect Cell would become and why Goku and Vegeta are always hungry for fighting. It all makes sense. That's what Vegeta wanted at the time. So Vegeta gets matched up against Goku. He's excited. He gets to test himself one more time against his former rival. And what happens? The Supreme Kai shows up, the Majin show up, and everything is thrown into the gutter because they all have to go and deal with this bigger threat of Babidi the Warlock and, of course, the danger of Majin Buu being hatched. So put yourself in Vegeta's shoes here. You've been training your entire life, and the reality is, as much as you try to move past this, Vegeta never let it go. Vegeta never let go of his disdain and envy towards Goku during those 7 years. Even with his wife and kid, he never let it go. So he really wanted to fight. So here we go. Goku comes back to life for one day, unexpected, unbeknownst to Vegeta, and he sees a chance to really test himself. But once he gets this opportunity, it is taken away from him from this villainous force that's threatening the sanctity of the earth. But at some point, Vegeta probably realized that with the combined power of him, Goku, and Gohan, this battle with Babidi would not last very long. And that probably was the original intention of all the fighters, to just get this over with, and then we can go back and have our Goku Vegeta rematch. But there was a curveball thrown into all of this, and that is the fight with Goku and Yakan, as well as the discovery by Vegeta of what Babidi's powers can actually do. So Vegeta realized by listening to what Mr. Satan said about Sapopovich that the Majin possession, the technique that Babidi can do to possess you if you have evil in your heart, that can also give you a tremendous boost in power. Now, I've already talked about how Vegeta was already Super Saiyan 2 before this arc. I have done an extensive video on this called Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta Explained. If you have not seen that video, you need to see it, because there is unquestionable evidence that Vegeta had already gotten Super Saiyan 2 way before this whole thing ever happened. Anyways, Vegeta saw that Sapopovich was just a regular weakling human fighter and became a relatively powerful metahuman, all because of Madoshi Babidi's magic. Plus, when Goku fought Yakan and Goku unleashed Super Saiyan 2 for the first time, at least his version of it, Vegeta saw just how strong Goku had become. He saw that Goku was not slouching and that he really did improve on everything in the other world. Now, what's interesting about all this is Vegeta had no idea about Super Saiyan 3. In fact, Toriyama himself probably had no real idea where he was going to go with that form or any of that. Probably didn't even think about that form until after all of this. So that's always an interesting note if you look at the clues in the manga, that Toriyama didn't really plan Super Saiyan 3 this far back. At least that's what the story and the narrative structure kind of tells us. Now, that being said, when Vegeta saw that, there was a little bit of evil in Vegeta's heart, that little bit of jealousy that Madoshi Babidi really sensed in him and said, okay, I can exploit this. So what ends up happening? Babidi exploits it and we have Majin Vegeta. And of course, when Vegeta turns Majin, he is not truly evil, but he sort of is. What ends up happening here, it's a little bit complex, is that Vegeta, through the fight with Goku, we find out that he allowed himself to get possessed by Babidi so he can get the upgrade, so he can be equal to Goku, at least in his own head. He wanted Majin Vegeta to be equal to Goku. Now, some fans believe that Majin Vegeta is actually stronger than Super Saiyan 2 Goku, but not Super Saiyan 3, and that's always a possibility as well. The fight was very close, a great fight back and forth. But what Vegeta has to end up doing is he taps into that evil side to kill those innocent people. Of course, Vegeta knew that they had the Dragon Balls and he knew that they could be brought back, but he had to prove to Goku to goad him into fighting. This was all done to goad him into fighting because Goku didn't want to fight Vegeta. They had bigger fish to fry, but he really wanted that fight to where even the Supreme Kai had to bow down to Goku. And to me, that's always been interesting. So during the fight with Goku and Vegeta, we find out from Goku that Vegeta isn't really as evil as he wants to make people think that he is actually in control of himself, but he also realizes that he made a huge mistake because during the fight with Goku and Vegeta and they're battling each other, so much energy was radiating from their battle that it was enough to distract themselves from stopping the original point of them going to see Babidi, which is the hatching of Majin Buu. So they ended up screwing up, like always, because they make these really irrational decisions throughout this series. And we have a new threat that is pretty unstoppable, which is actually the real reason as to why Vegeta decides to stop fighting, knock out Goku, take the Senzu, and go fight Majin Buu. Because after they went back and forth, at some point in the fight, Vegeta realized, I done goofed up. I made a mistake. I should not have done this. And the guilt does take over him, which is what ends up leading to the supposed final atonement when he blows himself up against Majin Buu, sacrificing himself. He did that out of guilt because he realized that his own selfish desire, his self-centered and stupid decision-making, always thinking about himself, not thinking about the potential risk he's putting Trunks and Bulma in with Majin Buu being unleashed, and always wanting to fight Goku, never letting it go, never accepting that Goku was better until the very end of Dragon Ball Z, which is a different story altogether. At this point in the series, before all that, Vegeta realized that he was not that same person anymore, and that now he had a family, and that he made a huge mistake and thought he could make up for it to himself by atoning for his sins, by sacrificing himself. And that's why he ultimately wound up doing it, because this whole thing was just a big roller coaster of emotions with Vegeta. He saw that he had surpassed Gohan during Gohan's fight with Dabura. He saw that Goku had probably surpassed him, and Vegeta just let his own ego and his own pride, which he himself talked about several times during this fight, take over and consume him. And he became the Dark Prince once again. That's essentially what happened. He let himself go back to that. And it was a cool fight. It was a great moment for the character, and it wound up leading to the best redemption for the character at the end of Dragon Ball Z during the fight with Kid Buu, when he states that, you know, Goku, you are number one. I should have never let this take over me, and I should have just let it go and just tried my best to be the best, which is kind of how he is now in Super, in that he doesn't want to kill Goku anymore or even fight him other than sparring. He just wants to be as strong as possible. And now that they've faced off against guys like Broly, Jiren, the Angels, the Gods of Destruction, obviously this new Vegeta wants to keep training to make himself stronger, but now he's training with Goku so they can both kind of discover what kind of power their race really has. Thank you for watching. I loved making this video. I love doing these in-depth breakdowns on Vegeta. I've done a few of them, and Majin Vegeta is great for a reason. Maybe you didn't realize this is why it's so great, but this is why this part of Dragon Ball Z with Vegeta's character is so amazing, because it's so well written, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a little wonky. It's not perfect, but I think it serves a purpose for Vegeta's character. And if it wasn't for this, his ultimate redemption at the end wouldn't have been so impactful, in my opinion. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Subscribe if you have not. Like the video if you like Vegeta or me, and have a great day.